the legal reforms that are required for that. Now, another key output that we have here, and this is where the engagement of the media is entailed, is strengthened capacities of the citizens themselves, non-state actors, and of course the media to engage in democratic governance. And so under this particular program, the UNDP, together with UN Women and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, are supporting the IEBC to engage strategically with key segments of the citizens and the population. And just to highlight one particular area, of course, is the media training, which has already come out very clearly on things as basic as electoral processes, electoral laws, and of course everything that is entailed there, because that is very key to the media in terms of processing and reporting and knowing really what the electoral process entails, from the registration to the declaration of results. I think a key constituency, of course, is the youth, and here again, under this particular program, we've engaged and worked with the Electoral Commission to engage a constituency such as the University Colleges and Students Association, knowing that they are a key segment of the population that can be nodes as well with the other youth in the society. In terms of engagement with media, and I think this is a key element of the work that we've done in the recent past few months, is the issue of disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech. And so based on the work that UNDP has done in other countries, and just to mention Zambia and Honduras, on the I-Verify, this particular program really is one that aims to support the management of misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. And how does this work? This particular program really works with identifying and transmitting disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech to the I-Verify.
I usually say that whenever you hear politicians praise the media, it means that there's a problem. But given that the politicians are complaining, it means that actually the media is doing its job right. So I think if we get it right, we'll continue being the most interested institution in this country. So we have to assure the public that yes, we are prepared, and if politicians complain about the media, that should be a score on the media. Thank you so much.
A better round of applause for Eric. Eric is soft-spoken, but you meet him in other scenarios. When he's now the union, it's very different. So please, take everything he said here today by a pinch of salt, because you meet him on the other hand, he's someone very different. Thank you very much for your remarks, Eric. Allow me to keep with the program and keep this quickly to bring Victor Buye from the Media Council of Kenya to also give his brief remarks on the questions that we're dealing with today and the place of the Media Council in media framing and opinion polls in shaping the electoral process, in training journalists and everything that they do. Marco Victor, Victor.
Now, Chair of IEBC and your commissioners, colleagues present, editors, journalists, and our other stakeholders. One, on behalf of the CEO of Media Council of Kenya, who was here, but he had an engagement and had to rush out. I want to apologize on his behalf. That one, a Media Council is not worried about elections preparedness by the journalists or the media. We are not worried. We have a very professional media. Actually, the comparison is only with Nigeria and South Africa, so you can see our PhDs and professors in our newsrooms. So we are not worried about media. Two, enough has been done and continues dying. Obviously, it was in phases. We started pre-election, we are going, so we have been doing different things as time around. Our focus right now, obviously, is now on the accreditation, which will ask the chair or the relevant commissioner chair to discuss. There's a lot of concern about accreditation, especially journalists, with 21 days to election. We expect nearly 10,000 journalists. 2017, we had nearly 12,000 journalists who needed accreditation and media support. So with 28 days, we are concerned that we haven't gotten any accreditation so far. While I know internally a lot is happening, and IEBC has assured us that something is happening, but we need information to give the journalists to relax that work's being done. When there's a gap, people start imagining nothing's happening. But we have talked with IEBC, something is being done. I'm sure a number has already been printed. So, but we will need help. Obviously, with now the transmission that Eric is talking about, with 46,000, nearly 46,000 polling centers, we are talking about either media employing those kind of numbers to then help them in giving, and with 46,000, if even you employed and paid 2 people for 2 days, that's nearly 300, 400 million Kenya shillings. So again, what are the preparation if that is going to happen, so that again, we are not giving half information, because I mean, generally, each media house has 1 or 2 reporters in a county, which has several polling stations. So again, the issue of capacity and reality, that would that happen. So that's a discussion that media is working on, away from how do we pull together, how do we happen, do we have a common newsroom so that then these people work together. So those are realities we are dealing with. The other concern that we have seen, which is affecting journalist coverage, is once the accreditation has delayed, then a lot of colleagues, especially outside Nairobi, are getting a lot of challenges to relate with the election-related issues, because the returning officer or any official will ask, are you accredited by IEBC? So like we saw during the clearance of candidates in a number of counties, a number of journalists were denied access, and it was rightly they were asking for accreditation. So we need, that was something that we need to look at. So practically, I think all is done. And again, the issue of accreditation, I know it has not been stopped, but a number of media houses would be forced to employ temporary staff, because the other deadline was for purely staff. But with now the given realities, a number of media houses will be employing temporary staff for a week or two, especially towards elections. So again, that needs to be looked at. Away from that, obviously the opinion poll, again, and Tom, you are here, we are not worried about official scientific opinion polling. We are not worried. But we are worried about this instant opinion poll that asks Victor is putting on a pink coat. Do you agree or no? Those ones we are worried because they are not scientific. Those instants that are done by media or individuals use social media and ask the popularity of whoever, those who are concerned. But their scientific opinion poll from the 5 or so companies that are registered, are member of the World Press Association of Pollsters, we are not worried because the other thing we are not worried about media framing, again, editorial discretion, and we have very qualified editors. They will deal, the law is there, the Boni Halwale Act, popularly called the Boni Halwale Act, is the political opinion poll of 2012, and it gives guidelines on how opinion polls must be done. There are always the 13 questions that must be answered by an opinion poll. So if a pollster does not meet the 13 questions, then that should be discarded and thrown to the dustbin. It's not worthy even an editor looking at. So that law is there, and it must be followed. There are no shortcuts. So if you are in the business of doing opinion poll, you must be guided by the World Association of Pollsters plus the Public Opinion Poll Act of 2012 in Kenya. And it's there in the election guidelines. There's a whole chapter on how opinion polls should be done. But the issue of how they are framed, we leave it to our editors. They are professionally qualified to do that. So, but it gives, I think, 7 days too. You can't do an opinion poll 7 days to an election. That is already provided for. So obviously they also still just have about 20 days to do them. So those are already provided in our law. The regulation, obviously, the issue of media bias or media coverage of anything, that again is a professional thing. If anybody asks you today, and I was talking with the Musumba just a few minutes ago, if how IEBC is covered, for example, by our media, away from whether positive or negative, but the space given to IEBC, given that an election is coming, and IEBC, the Electoral Management Board, it will get big coverage. Now, whether it's negative or positive, that's another now discussion. But IEBC will be in the media, whether you hate it, whether you like it, because of the event that is coming. Now, how you manage that again, that now becomes, a lot. But we want to request again the issue of proactive disclosure of information by Chairman. I think there are some things that can be delegated, especially on civic education, basic information, the frequently asked questions. More officers from the board can be given power to talk to, because a number of our colleagues, especially in the counties, want very basic information and preparation of elections. So sometimes when it's centralized in Nairobi, just like the corona news were, then it becomes very difficult for those guys. I know a number of you share information, especially in the press release. Press release largely favors online and print. Radio and TV need face and a voice. So again, I believe that we can open up so that our colleagues, especially outside Nairobi, we have nearly 200 radio stations in Kenya today. We have 135 TV stations in Kenya today. We have nearly 100 publications in Kenya today. 18 million Kenyans on Facebook, 12 million Kenyans on 18 on WhatsApp, 12 on Facebook, and these guys are not based in Nairobi alone. So we want to request that we take care, even if you are going to do then centralized press conferences or information release, we can think of giving out links for our media houses outside Nairobi. I think outside that, we are well prepared and we're enjoying and looking forward towards election. I know it's a hard time being at IEBC right now. There's a lot of pressure on Marijan, but I think that's what you applied for. So, and the commissioner and I will continue praying for you, but we don't expect anything less than a fair and credible, acceptable election, so that then we have a peaceful country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor, for your very useful comments there. As Victor states, I'd asked earlier on how everyone is feeling, how's the chilly weather and the temperature. And when I got to the high table, the commissioners are, they asked, which weather? Yeah, and I was a bit confused. I was like, the weather, the normal weather is like, but we control the weather, right? We put it on and put it off. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce this chilly weather is courtesy of IEBC. You can write that as fact. I would like to recognize the presence of Janet Love, who's Vice Chairperson, South Africa Electoral Management Body. I'd also like to recognize the presence of Ambassador Ndiwei Muliwana Mutiti, who's also Commissioner, Zambia Electoral Management Body. Also, the presence of Dr. Dan Juma is recognized, who's Team Leader, Governance and Inclusive Growth Unit, UNDP in Kenya. And finally, Dr. Bosman Asare, Deputy Chairman for Corporate Services, Electoral Commission of Ghana. Thank you all for making time to be with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce that we're doing well on time. Please don't look at your watches, and we're doing well. Trust me with these things. You can trust me. I'd like to welcome to the platform now the person at the center of it all, controlling the weather, the mechanics, and that sort of thing, Hussein Marjan, who's the IEBC Secretary and CEO of IEBC. Please welcome to the platform and give us your brief remarks. Tafadhali makofi kwa Marjan as he comes to the platform.
Thank you very much, James. The weatherman is here. And you know, the weatherman normally uses protocols that have been established. So the chairman of IEBC, Mr. Afula Chebukati, the chairperson and members of various electoral management bodies present, South Africa, Zambia, and Ghana, the IEBC commissioners present, our development partners, I can see UNDP and LGA, IEBC staff present, the Deputy CEO, operations, directors and managers present, the media fraternity present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. For the sake of time, I want to stick to the protocols, and I'm going to read my speech. So thank you very much. Let me take, first of all, this opportunity again also to welcome you all to this workshop or conference. In our midst today are electoral bodies, media practitioners, pollsters, and members of the donor community ready to engage in an informative discourse on issues surrounding media framing and opinion polls in priming the electoral process. The Commission recognizes that media plays a key role in the dissemination of information in real time. This information often spreads across various channels and platforms within the shortest time possible. As agenda setters, the media frames the news in perspective that lead to certain reactions from the public and policymakers. Thus, events are given a field of meaning within which they can better understood and elicit specific reactions from the intended population. In addition, the media may decide to package certain events to influence specific emotions and push for decision-making on critical matters by leaders. Similarly, opinion polls are increasingly becoming crucial in the election processes because they paint frameworks from which the electorates view election outcomes. For example, the prism of demographics used, ownership of polls firms, funding and sampling of respondents help in weaving important public debates from which democracy and accountability are nurtured. Moreover, the Commission acknowledges that political opinion polling is an integral part of the election process. In fact, opinion polling is central when it is conducted scientifically and objectively with a view to stimulate debates, particularly when the results are pushed or broadcast by the media. Ladies and gentlemen, the media and polls are conjoined twins. Opinion polls on one hand provide a great source of information for the media, hence create a forum for credible and
say that whenever you hear politicians